This isn't for 16-year-olds. It's not for 20-year-olds because they literally don't know it exists. So you can, redesign and refangle the character like this is the Gen Z definitive Wally West. Really? Does Gen Z know that? Scott Snyder and company are out there selling hard on the Absolute Universe, trying to get the word out. What's going to separate this from the DC Prime universe? What's going to be unique about it? Why you should, kind of jump in on it. And I think Scott's doing an okay job. I think he's doing perfectly fine, although I'm surprised they have to do a hard sell on a new version of Batman. But I'm also hearing kind of behind the scenes that the pre-orders for this have not been very good, not nearly what they expected. So it kind of makes sense why he's out there trying to get the message out. Now we're getting, more drops regarding the Nick Dragotta art, more information regarding the side characters, the traditional characters you expect to see for Batman. Me personally, the one Absolute Universe book I'm most excited for is Absolute Flash. Flash has been in a terrible state since Jeremy Adams left. I still don't know why they put Cy Spurrier on the book. It's basically unreadable. Barry Allen is almost non-existent, although I do think he might be an Absolute Power, but I'm not reading Absolute Power. I was like, hey, Jeff Lemire, maybe not an A-lister, but a really damn good writer. Put him on this book, and maybe we'll get a really cool version of Barry Allen. We're not going to get that. We're actually going to get Wally West. We do have a little bit of information on it, and the media have gone with their narrative of what Absolute Flash is going to be, and it's the absolute wrong message. And it's not even the message I think that Scott Snyder's trying to sell, or Jeff Lemire, or DC Comics. This is just the message that the Popverse or Screen Rant or CBR or Newsarama or any of the other small time geek news outlets are actually kind of put on it. I think it's just completely missing the mark as far as who would actually be interested in an Absolute Flash book. Somebody looking for a good Flash book that doesn't want to read Cy Spurrier's Flash. It's not that difficult. This is what they had to say about this Absolute Flash that I'm starting to question whether or not it's even going to be good. The Flash has stood the test of time as a staple of the DC universe, with his design evolving over the years to reflect trends and to appeal to readers. DC's brand new Absolute Universe is now on the horizon, and with it has come updated versions of traditional heroes. Among these is the Flash, who just got a striking redesign in artwork that gives the fastest man alive a modern makeover for his exciting new era. Flash has stood the test of time, meaning it's been around for 80 years. The Flash as a concept, as a character, whether it be Barry Allen or Wally West, stood the test of time. He's still relevant. He's still a cool character if you put the correct writer on it or a good team on it, is still a viable character within American comic books. As recently as 7 years ago, Josh Williamson's Flash was a perennial top 20 seller. But then they say, no, he needs a modern makeover. If he's stood the test of time and Flash is a perennial seller, which he is, why does he need an exciting new makeover? And it's the design has changed over the years. Of course, the design has changed a little bit over the years. It's still a red suit with the lightning bolt on it. It's the bare bones of the basic design from the very beginning, all the way through, except for obviously Jay Garrick, who has the metal hat. Otherwise, they haven't done a whole lot to really adjust the design because the design is awesome. The colors red and yellow absolutely pop together. The logo is great. And the idea that he's got to have the suit to run through the Speed Force and everything, it just works. And unfortunately, DC are not getting ahead of this, and they're going to let people like Screen Rant do the heavy lifting. Now let's see their analysis on this new design. Absolute Flash, written by Jeff Lemire and drawn by Nick Robles, will tell the story of a teenage Wally West that takes place in a dark world born from darkside energy. In a post on Twitter, Robles shared breathtaking art of his take on Wally, giving him a fresh look that sets him apart from the Wally West of DC's main continuity. With a punk rock mullet and piercings, Wally West's new design for the Absolute Universe proves that Absolute Flash will be a superhero for the next generation, just like he was for another generation of fans. I thought Wallace West was supposed to be the Flash of the next generation. They have done so many Flash for the next generation ideas and concepts and change the way the characters look and stuff. Not the main ones, not Wally and Barry, but all these other side Flashes that they've tried over and over again, and they never work. And now they're just going to try and throw all this kind of stuff onto Wally West. And I'm not upset about a mullet. I had a mullet until I was 14 years old, if I remember. I had a rat tail. I had a tic-tac-toe board on the side of my head. I had a lot of stupid shit, back in the day when mullets were cool and you could walk around with an AC/DC shirt on, and nobody even thought twice about it. They're just like, hey, great shirt. And I like the rat tail. Obviously, mullets are back in style. I'm growing one out. You can't really see it, but I am growing a mullet out myself. So there is something about this that makes me go, oh, cool. Wally West with a mullet. I got no problems with that. A bunch of piercings, kind of weird. Are we going to see him with like the piercing between his eyes? How about one of those stupid septum piercings so he can look like he's supposed to be at a livestock auction or something, like he's a pig? There's so many stupid piercings these days. And I don't understand like this generation of older writers that are trying to be contemporary and make their product accessible to younger people. Be like, oh, just throw some fucking piercings and a tattoo on the character. That'll do it. It's like, that's all surface level stuff. Like, who cares if Wonder Woman has tribal? Like, that's not really a selling point. It looks fine. You got a good outfit there with the new 52 Wonder Woman basically being swiped for the new character with a big ass sword. Who cares about the tribal? You know what people care about, though? That stupid haircut on Superman. It just does not fit the character, but I'm perfectly okay going along with Wally West with the red mullet and some weird piercings and all that kind of stuff. But does that truly make him the Flash for a next generation? Are we sure we don't already have a Flash from the next generation in My Hero Academia or somewhere with manga where people have actually been reading it and that next generation has already attached themselves to a super speed character? It's not exactly the most novel concept out there. And to be completely honest, when is this next generation of comic book readers that don't exist right now, are they ever going to become aware of this? When are DC Comics and Scott Snyder going to go somewhere that these people are congregating, whether it be, in person or virtually, to go and have fun and hang out? They don't do any of that stuff. So you can claim that you're making a Flash for the next generation. Why would Absolute Flash be the Flash for the next generation? Like, it doesn't even make sense. It's just supposed to be a dark side energy Flash, from what I understand from what Scott Snyder is doing. But the more we hear about it, especially from the media, it's, oh, this is a modern spin. It's a modern take. And anytime you hear that modern audience twist on any character, you kind of feel like it's going to be shit, because that's what we've been served up essentially for the last 8 years now, is heaping piles of shit, in the service of modernity. That's why this is absolutely the wrong message. Next up, Wally West's new design for Absolute Flash is a trendy homage to Wally's look from the 90s, with his mullet finally being back in style, but this design is executed with a Gen Z twist that makes all the difference. In his early days, Wally faced struggles that teens could relate to, such as relationship drama and rebelling against authority figures, but now his stories tend to revolve around balancing his responsibilities as the Flash with his duties as a husband and father. While this makes for a compelling narrative, it isn't a conflict that a younger demographic really resonates with. The Absolute Universe's Flash can reach this new generation of readers and give them a hero that they can see themselves in. How are they going to reach this next generation? The only place I've seen this even advertised are in the pages of DC Comics, which young people aren't reading. Are you throwing up ads in Minecraft? Like, is there a new Roblox Absolute Flash character skin that you can play or something like that? Is there like a new DC game being formulated in Roblox to bring people in and then offer them, some type of discount on digital versions of these comic books? I hate to break it to you. The younger readers, they might be reading comic books, but they aren't reading American comic books in a periodic format. The audience for this, because of the delivery mechanism that you're using and the marketing that's being done, are dudes my age. This isn't for fucking 16-year-olds. It's not for 20-year-olds, because they literally don't know it exists. So you can, redesign and refangle the character like, this is the Gen Z definitive Wally West. Really? Does Gen Z know that? Because as far as I can tell, for the most part, they're not exactly reading. And if you look at the demographics of actual comic book readers today, they aren't a part of it. They just aren't. And that's why this stuff, it's so hollow and it's so destructive to the long-term viability of DC Comics. Not that they're trying to do something for Gen Z, if that's what this is supposed to be, and it sounds like it is. No, that's a good idea. But you actually have to go out to those consumers. You have to have awareness. You have to let them know that there's a product they like. You have to deliver it in a form factor that they actually enjoy. Guess what? Magazine size, or a little bit less than magazine size, it isn't exactly what they're used to. They're used to reading a lot of stuff digitally. and you're not marketing to this audience, but you're creating product for them, and then you're expecting, people my age to buy into it, and you're like, well, why aren't the sales better? Why are things a little bit soft? And that's what I'm hearing behind the scenes. Even for Absolute Batman, the orders thus far are not nearly as strong as they had anticipated, and that's why you're seeing the full court press out there by Scott Snyder and others, but they need to control the narrative. They need to get a hold of the message, talk to these people and say, this is what makes this universe special. And you know what would go a long ways to really gaining some confidence from readers? Going out there and saying, you know what? We've made a lot of mistakes. We went down a too dark of a path. We want to get the Prime universe back into being a hopeful universe. This is going to be an alternative take with darker versions of the heroes, born in dark side energy. But you're going to see some really cool stuff over here with the best creators that we could get. And we know that we could have done better, and we can't go back and make it right, but we can make it right now because we fucked up. They never say any of that stuff. They just go, hey, here's a fucking Batman with a battle axe. You should buy this. Or here's Superman that has no characteristics of actual Superman with a floppy haircut and a cape made out of dust. Like, that stuff just doesn't sell. And they need to get a hold of their message and actually tell people why they need to be investing in Absolute Universe, because I'm having a very difficult time telling myself why I should. I don't want to read Absolute Superman. I don't care about Absolute Wonder Woman because of Kelly Thompson. Absolute Batman, certainly I'll go check it out. That's a malleable character. It probably is going to work for him, and I love Nick Dragotta. I like Jeff Lemire. Now I'm being given reasons not to really want to invest in Absolute Flash. Al Ewing on a Green Lantern book is somewhat intriguing, even if I think he's a completely overrated writer. What's the image that they put out for Absolute Green Lantern? Joe Mullins. Like, why? The most useless fucking character in all of Green Lantern lore, and that's the character that you're going out front and center with. We're going to have them all, but here's JoJo Mullins. That shit don't put asses in seats. That's a character that has essentially been discarded. It wasn't accepted by the fandom, yet you continuously go and push this stuff down your throats and remind us why you fucked up in the first place. And, I'm finding it very difficult to really get excited for any of this stuff, but I will keep an open mind. I'll read the first issue of all that stuff. I'll read the fucking Kelly Thompson Wonder Woman. I'll go read that Not Superman book just to check it out. Because I cover comic books here, but it's only because I cover comic books. I am a comic book fan, and this shit ain't selling me on it. What is selling me on it? The stuff that they're going to have to do to actually get people invested and excited about the book is not sell Absolute Batman anymore. It's time to sell some variant covers. DC Comics have dropped the minimum for retail exclusive covers from 3,000 to 1,000 copies for Absolute Universe and DC All In, resulting in a massive resurgence of retailers and events signing up for the deal. And now the Absolute Batman covers are dropping. Absolute Batman is to get exclusive retailer variants from a host of A-list comic book artists, exclusive for certain stores, conventions, or creator studios. Exclusive covers from Frank Miller, Clayman, Liam Sharp, Sean Gordon Murphy, Dan Panosian, and more are already announced. Well, now you're actually speaking to the audience, the ones that like really cool cover art. You go out there and you get the best artists out there, and you bring in one of the greatest Batman writers and artists of all time, Frank Miller, on here. Let him do an exclusive cover. You got Sean Gordon Murphy coming back. You got Clayman, a fantastic artist. Liam Sharp, somebody that I personally love. Dan Panosian. You got more out there. And now you're actually speaking to the people that are aware that the book actually exists. But this is the stuff that they have to go to, because I don't think they know how to speak to anybody. I don't think that Scott Snyder or Jim Lee or Marie Javins or really anybody at DC Comics, Chris Conroy, who I think is supposed to be one of their group editors, knows how to talk to their audience, say, this is why this is good and this is why you should buy into it. And that's why they're always having to rely on the variant cover stuff. And it sounds like a lot of retailers were kind of opting out of those retailer exclusive variant covers. They had to drop the minimum order from 3,000 down to 1,000. And now they're back in because they know there will be interest in a Frank Miller Absolute Batman cover, or a Sean Gordon Murphy Absolute Batman cover. But will there be a lot of interest in Absolute Batman with Nick Dragotta on art? I hope so, because Nick Dragotta is awesome. We'll see what happens with Scott Snyder, but they have completely missed the mark on the message here. This isn't how you sell Flash. Flash for a modern audience. This is the Gen Z's definitive Flash. Does not fucking move the needle in comic book shops in America, because Gen Z are not in comic book shops. You got to go somewhere else to talk to these people. You need to create these products for them and deliver it in a format that they want to consume. Yet DC and all these publishers keep doing this and trying to sell it to 40 and 50-year-olds and we're going, I just want Barry Allen. Why can't I just get Flash? Do I need Batman with a fucking battle axe? I don't think so. And it gets very frustrating because this should work. And I'm very concerned that apparently behind the scenes, the orders haven't been good. This isn't good news for DC Comics because they're already in the toilet. And they're certainly investing a large amount of money with the creators they're putting on here, hopefully putting their best foot forward and get people interested in DC Comics again. But this does not feel like it's it. If you do appreciate what we're doing here on Think Critical YouTube, providing some honesty to the comic book industry that desperately needs it these days, and you would like to support us and that message, I do want to invite you to visit me on Think Critical Patreon. There's a link in the video description, and there are a host of benefits to that. Lots of exclusive podcasts, lots of exclusive videos, polls, all that kind of stuff. If you haven't seen us there, I hope to see you there soon.